You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Good morning, everyone. This is Walter on iWalter. I was off for about 2 days now, I guess. I apologize about that, and I actually, unfortunately, now had officially missed podcast day, official podcast day. I have a story about that somewhere in my mix. Actually, I lost a bit because I had a hard drive I got for my newer computer, and that had died right after I got it, which happens. Sometimes you get bad hard drives. But I had a hard drive with, all my history, couple terabytes. The whole thing just died as well just tonight. So that held me up, and I missed now the official podcast day, which was on September 30th. Now it's October 1st. Anyway, there was a thing Kevin Smith posted the other day, actually yesterday, and he said, "Happy podcast from a lover of medium, been podcasting since February 5th, 2007. Happiness is having your own show, or 6. Here's mine on smodcast.com. So he was very happy yesterday. Unfortunately, I was going to try to do it, and it did not work out that way. So now I missed the whole thing. Unfortunately, it would have been my first one, but that's obviously not going to happen now. So, yeah, and actually I had to call out sick today yesterday from work, because I just felt really kind of under the weather, and I was feeling really sore from work the other day. Unfortunately, though, depending what manager it is, or it just seems like any manager at this point with me, they always seem to give me a hard time. So I called. I have 4 different managers on any given day, and the manager was on today, gave my phone number, and normally they don't call back. They just let you go, say you're either sick, you're taking personal time, or vacation time. And I woke up and I was in so much pain. I'm in pain every day from my job because of the amount of work I get left with. But today it was not only in a lot of pain, you ever get, I don't know if people ever experience this, but you're like so sore, your muscles are so sore, you actually feel like you can throw up. And that's how I felt. I was like, okay, being in a lot of pain is one thing. Feeling that you have to vomit is a completely different feel, and I've really can't say I have experienced and that I ever remember. So that being said, it was like, listen, I just got to call out. And I called all these lines. I got to call back, and the boss that was on told me that you need to come into work anyway, and you got to go through our health services to get checked out. Now, I'm in a union place, so I called every union representative, and not surprisingly, not one had called me back, not zero. So if I get my father to call, because a friend asked me this, well, do you always get your father? What's going to happen when he's not around? I was like, well, I'll be screwed, obviously, because people don't listen to me whatsoever. They don't even care if I'm sick. I apologize, but I just had taken a swallow of ice, too. So it was not a fun feeling. I actually called our health services department at my job, told them what was going on, and I was told me that you need to get they told me, I'm sorry, I apologize. Once again, 2 days off does not seem to help. They said you don't need to come in. You don't need anything. If you're out for 3 days, then you need to get a doctor's note or come in and find out what's going on. 1 day, you're entitled to that. So I'm taking advantage of that fact. Not right term to use, but I am taking advantage of the fact because I needed the day off just to get my muscles to kind of loosen up a little bit and not feeling sick. So that turned into a nightmare. Now we have other people that are getting hand over fist an overtime, and I get none, which I don't really care about. But then I'm getting stuck. I'm this week technically. Let me calculate this right now. I'll only be in for 3 days because I'm also going to be off on Friday of this week. I'm going on a vacation to a concert for a concert reason. So I'll only be in 3 days. That's 24 hours. And in that 24 hours of this week's worth of work, I can guarantee you that I'll be stuck with about 60 hours worth of work. So how does that pan out when you have me working 60 hours? And I even looked, I barely am going to break 50,000 this year. You got other people who are making, they actually wrote on this place called Glassdoor. Somebody actually wrote down on their job and how they felt about it. I was like, why make $117,000 a year? And it's like, well, you're not probably doing that much to get that. So it's only fair to push all the work on to somebody else who's making far less money, working a lot less time, but is doing 9 times the amount of work. The person who was my supervisor, and I actually had the nerve to say, well, you don't work any different than any other night. I don't see why you can't come in. It's like, you don't understand. Well, actually, it's not that they don't understand. They just don't care to see the truth. Well, I'm doing 4 times the amount of work as that person who comes in on 16-hour shifts and does nothing, or a half an hour's worth of work. They have, they're not getting the equal amount of work that I'm getting for far less time. Again, I'm only be working 24 hours this week. There was a whole month that went by that I was working 32 hours a week, but yet I was getting 60 hours worth of work to do, watching other people just having a good old time and doing nothing and getting paid for it. And, you know, obviously when you're working overtime, you know, that's going to be double what your pay is. So they're getting double the amount I'm getting, maybe 3 times the amount I'm getting, and they're only doing an eighth of the work I'm doing, you know, so that makes no sense. But they don't wish to see that I'm being taken advantage of, and they don't also wish to see that you've got people taking advantage of them. The only thing they care about is focusing on me and finding that I'm the problem. So anyway, since, you know, my way of unwinding was I bought a bunch of movies that I was going to see in the movie theaters, but when I got cheap enough that I could actually buy them at the same price as a ticket, and I can watch it at home or less, if I can buy them for less money, I'll buy it. So that's what ended up happening. So I got a pile of movies now that I purchased at a cheaper price than what it costs me to go to the movie theater and get aggravated by other people. So those 2 movies, I'm going to shrink down what I had up. these two movies that I actually I did watch two of them so far, and that's what's going to be on my little icon thing was the movie Interstellar, because a friend told me I would really like that, and Birdman. So Birdman came yesterday, and I got home. I was like to unwind. I watched the movie. It definitely is a really good movie. Birdman is. It is a very artsy film, so if you're into art house films, I would highly recommend that. If you're not into art house films, I would say just don't bother. Because the film is got that feel. It's got jazzy music in the background. Very symbolic. Reminds me a little bit on the line of David Lynch because the symbolism intertwines with what's going on. And the problem is, though, not only that, it's a bit hard to understand, even for me, because I usually am pretty good in reading between the lines, so to speak, on certain films. This one was actually difficult. Now, they basically sold the film as, because it had Michael Keaton as the main character, that it was probably something with the Birdman was probably just basically reflecting upon him playing Batman, which a bird and a bat are two different things, but they're both flying creatures. So that's the assumption I went with. I thought they were showing maybe a fictional character based upon when he played. That's what I thought at first, that when he played Batman, where he stands now as being an actor, which is not true for him, but the character who is like older in age and is having more of a difficult time leaving that character behind, which he only did for really only 2 films. So it didn't last that long, but he is a really good actor. He's done almost all types of characters in many different types of films. This definitely was something that really impressed me with everybody in the film, just because the actors all of them did a great job. I have to look up who was in that cast. But it just also showed you how difficult acting really is if you're a good actor. So let me look this up, see who the list of people were in this film, because it was really good. Well, obviously, Michael Keaton, Emma Stone, Edward Norton, Zach, I can't pronounce, and Naomi Watts. And they don't actually have listed view 10 more, because the one he had an actress who played his daughter, which I looked her up, and she's pretty well known too. The character of Birdman. Oh wait, I had it up. I'm seeing if I can recognize which one played the daughter, because there was a large list of names of celebrities in this film, and they all did a really good job. Maybe it was Emma Stone played the daughter, because I can't remember. I guess that might have been Emma Stone, because her hair was bleached blonde for the movie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did a really good job. They all of the actors, actresses did an incredible job for the film. Again, it's very artsy. It's not everybody's cup of tea. And the thing that made the biggest impression, I think, even on critics' reviews, other people reviewing this film besides myself, which I noticed right away, is the film is one continuous roll. Like, they made sure that it looked like. Now, there was one scene that I kind of looked like there was a break, but in layman, the best way to put it, the film had no break. So the scenes, it was one continuous scene all the way to the very end of the film. So that was the big thing that people will write about in a lot of these reviews, is that it was, there was no break in, usually you have a dissolve or a break in the film, go into the next scene. Well, there was technically absolutely no break in the film. It just was, one from one scene walked into the next scene, or there was the transitions basically never had taken you off. It was a continuous scene. So I'm probably not doing a very good job explaining that, but generally, if you go from a night scene to the day scene, they would just show the sun go up and the sun go down, or vice versa. If you were going to a different scene, the one particular character would walk from the one scene to the next. So it went that way all the way to the very end of the credits. So, that's just, and that was definitely I thought, a very original idea. I haven't seen that I can remember. Maybe it has happened before, but they did a really good job. I was just like, wow, this film's not going to have any scenes that basically are cut transitions. And the transitions were basically just pretty much not leaving. It didn't make a break in the scenes. The scenes just continued to move along. So, and again, it was a lot of symbolism, I guess, and it got confusing because the man that the Birdman, now I got to figure out, Michael Keaton played, he had a lot of, like, almost like me, what I'm doing now, or what I do in my normal life. He had an imaginary voice in his head, but this imaginary voice would tell him, like, the voice had a different sound than he did, or it could have been his voice, but this voice actually would talk through the film. His inner voice, his inner thoughts, almost like he was, I want to say, what do you call that person who hears voices, like psychotic. So the voice was very well heard, and you would hear it too. And that was something, that's not really symbolism, but what was symbolism, he would just imagine himself being a true-to-life this character of Birdman. He actually imagined himself really having the same powers as this fictional character. And that's where it came more symbolic, because he really thought he was doing stuff like moving things with his mind, or being able to pick up objects without touching them. But you don't know, was that supposed to be really happening or not? And then sometimes they did indicate that, yeah, it was just him. Basically, he was going a little bit he was basically going. He was becoming unstable, but unfortunately, his instability of being crazy, you basically saw it from his point of view and not from a third person's perspective, which made it more confusing, because there was one scene, it looked like he was trying to commit suicide by jumping off the top of a building, but then he imagined himself as being having the powers of this fictional character he had played. This character had played a fictional character in movies, like like a superhero that could fly, like Superman. So, but the thing was, it didn't let you know, okay, is this guy really have these powers, or is this just him being, going crazy? They never, and once in a while, they kind of gave you a nudge, like, okay, yeah, this is all in his head. This is not really happening. So you're not looking through his eyes, but you're seeing the world through the character of the Birdman. So you can, in some ways, yeah, you are the third person perspective, but you're seeing it through his mind. So it's kind of hard to explain, which made the film really difficult to follow sometimes. But it was funny. The whole gist of the film was, it was a man who, actually Ed Norton's character was the same way, that these characters were people that Ed Norton just made his more noted on screen, that he actually said, he says, when I'm on like the whole thing was this character that Michael Keaton played, he decided, well, okay, I want to try something different besides being a superhero, and I want to make a play on Broadway, which was it was actually New York, because I recognized the scenery, but it was supposed to be New York. He had a Broadway play he made, and critics were like kind of skeptical about it, because here's some guy who was basically playing no substance character in movies that was really popular, and now he wants to become real serious, do a serious role, and have a play that he had written and is acting in. That was the premise of the film. So, but his film was based upon his life. Ed Norton's character was almost the same as the Birdman's, because they both lived their lives, like their identity was found through these characters they would play on screen, or on stage, but they had no real personality, neither one of these characters. Like Ed Norton's character said at one point, he said, I'm only alive, or my real self comes out when I'm on stage. So when he plays these characters, he says, that's not the character. The character is me in real life. So, and I guess it was kind of stating that, okay, these actors lose themselves. They don't even know who they are. And the only way they know how to live is through the characters they play. They don't know, they're not real people. And the same thing was true for the character that Michael Keaton played. But he was so lost that he apparently had a wife, and he had a daughter who was, I mentioned who that was played by. I think Emma, I got to look up her name again. But he never really was there for his wife. He tried to kill his wife, technically, but he was never there for his wife, the character of Michael Keaton, or his daughter, so they had a lot of problems there. I'm just seeing if I can look this up again. Yeah, I think it is Emma Stone. So the thing was, he lived his whole life as this character of the Birdman. He never really knew how to have a relationship with his wife or his daughter, and by doing this play, he was hoping he could find his true self. But all he would be doing was just playing another character, even on stage on Broadway. So towards the end of the film, he does find himself, but the only thing is, it again gets smeared, I guess, a little bit with he becomes, I assume, more crazy or what, but he never felt like he never knew who he really was. So I don't want to say much more if you haven't watched it. It is a hard film to get through, but it's definitely worth watching. It's very emotional. Interstellar was too, on a different level. Now, the thing is, because I had to look it up last night, the end of the film was one of these. They actually mentioned that the movie Birdman was kind of written like a graphic novel / like a novel, like a book, and I can see that because a lot of this stuff is something you expect to read, not actually to see. That's what made this film so impressive, of Birdman. But the very end had one of these endings that was definitely something you would see in a book. It was very open-ended. And I'll leave it at that because I'm afraid to say much more, because if somebody actually listens and say, hey, wait a minute, I haven't seen this film yet, so now you ruined it for me, because the ending was very powerful. And I didn't realize, because I read different short stories through college. James Joyce's The Dead. And there was a short story I read called The Awakening. Not the movie. This was a short story called The Awakening about this woman. And she was kind of not sure if she wanted to live any longer. It's the same thing with James Joyce's The Story of the Dead, where the character kind of felt like his life was a complete waste, and he wasn't sure if suicide would be his choice, or would that be the way he wanted to go? Did he want to end his life because it was a total waste? So when you watch Birdman, I don't want to say any more. Birdman's on the same level with this character that he got to the point that perhaps suicide might be the only answer to really free himself from his life, or not even his life, just to find himself. So, but the thing was, they left it very open-ended, and even the very last frame of the film was not quite clear because it can go two directions on the way it ended. Like so people have actually wrote articles on Birdman discussing, I'm being very vague, but for a good reason, because I don't want to say too much, because I'd like to discuss this in more detail, but I'm afraid to. But when I first watched it, I got one impression, maybe some of those, I'll say this much, maybe some of his delusions were for real, or maybe he finally found what he was looking for in another direction, which doesn't make any more sense. But again, I'm trying not to say too much, just in case, because I would recommend the film. But again, if you don't like art house films, like, for instance, just a smidgen of David Lynch style, or some other, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, because my one friend Matt watches a lot of art films, not David Lynch style art films, but other films that are considered like art house films. Well, that's what Birdman is an art house film. So anyway, I did watch this tonight. That's a 3-hour movie because I have to, I don't want to strain myself anymore and take any more time off of work. So it came in the mail today and I decided to watch it, was the movie Interstellar. Now, that was a movie I really didn't know if I wanted to go see or not. A friend recommended it to me, and my friend Todd, and I just let it go. Now I got the film. It was cheaper than buying the ticket, and it was actually, there's a defect. I got it brand new on Blu-ray for $8, I think $7 on Amazon. So, and it was shrunk wrap, but for some reason, which is cheaper than buying the ticket, trust me, because tickets now are about $12, movie tickets. So that part was fine, and it's cheaper than it's worth it because it's a 3-hour movie, and I had to get up because I was doing other things too, just to get things done for this coming weekend. So anyway, I'm like getting this film. The first 2 minutes into the film, now Blu-rays aren't supposed to be very easy to damage, but this one actually did have a defect on there. So it was kind of difficult. So it was about 2.5 minutes in the film, it just froze every single time on the same spot. I cleaned the disc and it still wouldn't fix itself. So the disc is defective. Now the problem is I didn't pay that much for the movie to begin with. Number two, it came with a 70 millimeter cell. For some reason that wasn't a thing in the film. And it comes with 3 discs. It comes with one with a Blu-ray disc with extras, one with the film because it's 3 hours long, and a DVD copy of the film. And I guess you get that downloadable version you can get. So you got like 4 versions of the movie for $8 or $7 something. I think it was like $7, brand new. You got a cell frame from the film, which I don't want to give up. Not that it means anything to me. It's just kind of impressive. And I really didn't pay. I paid less than the price of a movie ticket. So that is making me scratch my head. Do I want to return it to Amazon and get an exchange? I'll keep the cell frame if I have to, but and just not tell them I had taken it out. But the fact that the movie's 3 hours, it's 2 hours and 50 minutes. I seriously doubt I'll be watching it anytime soon again anyway. And at that point, I can just watch the DVD version and skip over the part that skips. So it's not probably worth it. Anyway, I was watching a film, and I'll tell you, that was a very, very emotional film. That one is more science fiction. Now, if you ever had read or watched 2001 Space Odyssey or 2010, read or watched the movies, I've actually started reading the one book back in high school. I had a class that we had to read the book of 2001 Space Odyssey. And I ended up, a couple years ago, I bought both films, and I watched both 2001 and 2010 Space Odyssey. So that being said, that's Interstellar almost in a nutshell. So if you like things that really make you think and are very emotional, because, again, I can't say very much because I don't know who has seen whom or which people have seen the film, who may listen to me, who hasn't. But that would be a film I definitely would recommend, because there was clues given in the beginning of the film that don't mean much at all and don't seem to fit the theme of the movie. But at the very end, it actually slowly through the film, it comes together why certain things happen in the beginning of the film. So, and it gets very, very emotional, because it was one of the theories, is one I've had years ago, that I've said this before to people. I hope I'm not saying too much if I say this, but I said, like, these people these things we consider aliens may just be ourselves in the future reaching out and sending clues, or people when, like, they say, oh, we've seen a unidentified flying object, or had been, if you believe that stuff, like in Roswell, that we've been abducted by aliens. I've always said, I don't think they're aliens. I think they're us in the future, that we've actually discovered, how to, break the fourth dimension. And actually, this movie goes as far as, and that's given too much away, the fifth dimension. So this film is very, very intense. I'll tell you that much. I was very emotional after watching this film. I didn't think it was going to be that intense, but it was very, very intense. And it was definitely worth watching the movie. I don't know if I could have survived 3 hours without getting up. Not that I would want to, but just sitting there, and it's a very deep movie. It makes you really think. And the ending is heartwarming in some ways, but in other ways it's very depressing. Now, the person who directed that film is the same guy who actually did do the reboots of the Batman movies. He's made a lot of good films. I'm going to look that up. Alrighty, I'm trying to look for his name because I know it'll come to me. Okay, they were considered the Dark Knight trilogy, which I actually got. Christopher Nolan. I've heard that before. Christopher Nolan makes some really, really intense films. Batman, obviously, being some of them. But, Christopher Nolan really outdid himself when he made Interstellar. That's one movie you don't want to miss. A friend told me this, a friend Todd, and now I really do believe him. I'm trying to look at what other films Memento was another one he made. To Prestige, which my parents saw, and they loved that. Interception, Man of Steel, which I'm not too I'm not too much like that too much. And it's obviously 2014 was Interstellar, and then Transcendence, which I never saw that. It looks like it's, I'm looking at it right now. Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp was in that film. He makes some very deep movies. Now, it says he's an exclusive producer. I didn't know this. Christopher Nolan is exclusive producer on Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. So that means he's going to have some say in that, which is kind of impressive because obviously they picked somebody else to be Batman. But I'd have to say Interstellar was definitely worth the watch. Again, it just had me really broken up at the end because the whole thing, it's just like, It deals with, and actually, if you ever watch Cosmos, the show Cosmos, the original one with, who wrote those books too? I'm trying to remember because that was like so long ago. Carl Sagan. It's very much like Carl Sagan as well, because it talks about the wormholes, and also, and Carl Sagan has that thing. I got the series and I never watched the whole thing because I remember when I was a kid I used to love that. I did like Stephen Hawking as well because I see him there, and I actually did see the film Brief History in Time. I never saw the film about, which is kind of funny. I have to get that sometime. Is Stephen Hawking's life, because I love his theories, most of them with Stephen Hawking. But I really enjoyed Carl Sagan, and I forgot that he did. He wrote this book called Contact, which was made in a movie, and that was incredible too. I think the movie was based upon his book. I don't know if he actually had anything to do with the film. I'm not sure. Carl Sagan. But yeah, this had like the feel, Interstellar had the feel of like Cosmos when talking about wormholes and black holes. So it is very deep. And it was obviously that's all theory because but they actually put those theories into a motion picture, and I can't say enough, but it was done very well. And yes, if you remember, if you haven't seen those, I'd say watch those. Actually, I would say recommend watching the movie of Contact, Space Odyssey, 2001 and 2010, and then compare it to the of Interstellar, and you'll see what I mean, because there's a lot of tie-ins between these films, covering the same kind of ground in many ways. By the way, I just got to take a side note for a minute because I'm looking at this now. I'm on my home page on my only 2 remaining hard drives. Thank God I backed up most of my hardware, my programs twice. So the one drive died, and I still am now dependent on my second backup drive. But Rush, I actually did listen to a little bit today, and he was boasting about the new iPhone. And he says, oh, it's so great, and it's, like, really impressive. But the thing is, I love Rush Limbaugh, but he obviously has the money to buy this stuff every time Apple decides to make something new. So he's going to promote that. But quite honestly, I'm taking a skip on the 6S products on the phone, because I just bought my phone not too long ago. And speaking about Rush, he's got a new book coming out, and I should actually look for that on Amazon. I never read them. They're children's books, but, they're meant for everybody, even though it's geared to kids. I think I spelled his name wrong. But, yeah, his new book is being, you should be able to pre-order, at least from Rush's website. Because he has, 4 books at this point now. They're all Rush Revere books, but I thought Amazon would actually do a pre-order, but I guess they're not. And I bought the books just to support Rush. I never really read them, but Rush is actually, his new book's coming out, I guess, this month, because I can say that now. It's October. I'm just seeing if Amazon has it. I got an email from Rush Limbaugh's thing, and they said, oh, you can pre-order the book now. Yeah, here it is. You can pre-order. It's on the top number 1 sellers list. It's called Rush Revere and the Star-Spangled Banner hardcover. It's like $13, so it's not bad. For once, they're actually charging more for the audiobook. Unfortunately, that's like $18. But I just, I support the man any way I can, and if it means buying his book for, $13, that's like not that he needs the money, because that's obviously not the case, but just the fact I can support him, that's my whole thing. I'm going to support somebody I actually, like listening to, even though I haven't listened to him much lately. But yeah, Rush for Revere and I just mentioned it. Rush for Revere and the Star Spangled Banner. And it looks like the date it comes out, if you pre-order, is October 27th. So giving you a heads up on that, folks. And I actually bought his iced tea before, too. That was really good. So, yeah, I'll promote him with his books and stuff, and I'll back him up. So, anyway, I did kind of quickly line up some stories. I was off for 2 days, and I was watching those films. It is now almost after 1. I wanted to go to bed early because I got to get some stuff done before I go to work tomorrow. Might even have to make a doctor's visit just to get a note. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, friends sent me these stories again, most of them, and they're funny, and pretty gruesome too. This one's a funny one. So thank you, Todd Thomas. Mandatory.com, Japanese company warns people not to have sex with its robots. According to an International Business Times, the Japanese firm reasonable for creating the first personal robot with its own emotions is now warning people who purchase one of these not to engage in sexual relationships with it, because it doesn't even look like somebody you would want to have sex with, but people are a little bit weird out there. So that's right. Apparently naming its humanoid robot Pepper wasn't enough to deter guys from sticking their penis in it. So the folks at SoftBank decided to include a sentence in the user agreement warning people not to have sex with it. But if you look at the robot, it doesn't look like anything. I don't know. I mean, that's just really bizarre. The policy owner must not perform any sexual act on the or other indecent behavior. So it basically says SoftBank added that penetrators of sexual acts with Pepper could face punitive action, although unless the guy or girl who just finished plowing it actually called them up and said so or told the world about it on social media, you have to wonder how the hell SoftBank would actually probably know this fact, I guess. So that was pretty funny. That was actually dated 2 days ago. It's hard to get the days because I've been off for 2 days now. So Todd sent me an article from PIX11.com, and it says Connecticut mother left 4-year-old daughter home alone while she performed sexual favors. And this was stated in the court documents. Hadford. Did I say Carolina? It looks like Connecticut. Well, anyway, Hadford, Connecticut. So I apologize. I'm correcting myself now. A Connecticut mother is accused of leaving a 4-year-old daughter home alone while she performed sexual favors. Shy Days Nix was charged with reckless endangerment and risk of injury to a minor after a passerby spotted Nix alone around 10 a.m. on Collins Street Tuesday. Nix is being held, I guess the mother is being held, on $50,000 bail. So the one who was spotted by herself was obviously the daughter. I think her name is Shalifa. That's why I didn't want to pronounce it, because the name is just really kind of hard to pronounce. Responding officers to determine the girl's address Responding officers demined the girl's address and brought her home. Deputy Chief Brian Foley says officers found the home door open. According to the court documents, Nix admitted to leaving while the child slept. She allegedly prepared sandwiches, the child's favorite snacks, and put cartoons on the television before she had left the house. It was reported that the mother then met with a man named Richard, and documents said he would pay Nix for sexual favors in exchange for $230. The document said that the little girl was alone for a total of 9 hours. She reportedly told the police that she dressed herself that morning. The child was turned over to the State Department of Children and Families. And Sade's Nick's father, Anthony Nix of Springfield, Massachusetts. I keep on going back. It says, Connecticut, Massachusetts. So that's right. Said the incident is out of character for his daughter. So, anyway, I know I screwed up all the way around, I guess. I don't know. So, the story is I have like different stories, obviously. But this one was on BloodyDisgusting.com. Robert Englund is not playing Freddy in the next Nightmare on Elm Street. Apparently, this person wrote in so many words or less, because these I did kind of gloss over a little bit, so I don't have to read them and ruin them. But it's apparently if you try to ask or do an interview with Robert Englund, he likes to talk just as much as I do, even more so. So they said if you come to ask Robert Englund questions, don't expect to get more than two questions answered, because he'll just go off and talk for hours about himself, about what he's done and what he knows. So that's fine. I mean, that's very impressive. But the problem is, it's more difficult to get an answer out of him. So some people got confused and just assumed that Robert Englund would be willing to do, step into the character of Freddy Krueger again. But apparently that won't be the case. And what they found out after a lot of research, a lot of digging into what he was trying to say, was that he probably would play in a movie of Friday the 13th, but he would not play Freddy Krueger again. He'd probably play some type of cameo. So that's the gist of the story in my words. And that was on BloodyDisgusting.com. I have a couple more probably in the pile. Somebody else that was on iHorror actually recommended, since, I don't want to get the name wrong. They were talking about next year in 2016, Halloween Returns is going to be coming out. Another Michael Myers movie, which honestly I really am not a big fan. I missed quite a few of those Halloween movies just because they're not that good. The first two were more than enough. I thought after that they made the third one, which had nothing to do with Michael Myers, that was going to be majorly disappointing, but honestly, I was wrong, and I admit to that now, and the rest are just horrible. And even as much as I like Rob Zombie's, those were really bad. But they were trying to speculate in iHorror who should be the next, and I just thought of the name, Dr. I think it was Leroy Nemes, the character. I'm not reading this. I was trying to avoid reading it at all because it just, Dr. Samuel Loomis. Who would be the best person to play Dr. Samuel Loomis? And I have to agree, apparently the person who wrote this article was not too impressed with Malcolm McDowell, who also played in Clockwork Orange. And he's like, they basically speculated, we don't need to see another Clockwork Orange type character of Dr. Loomis, so they don't want that again. And they suggested, this is a good follow-up for once, that they think that if they pick anybody, why not pick God, I am so bad with names. We should pick why don't you just put in the caption, folks? I'm like trying to look so I don't have to read this whole damn article. Well, basically, who played Freddy Krueger. So, it's one of these things. It's going to come to me afterwards, and I'm going to be really pissed. So, see what happens when I'm home. Robert Englund. So there we go. It was Robert Englund. They suggested maybe, hey, why not get Robert Englund to do it? He's older now. He would be probably really good for the part if you're going to get another Dr. Loomis. But honestly, I'd rather not see the film made again at all. But they go through a list who would be the next best Dr. Loomis for the 2016 Halloween movie. They actually mentioned maybe Bruce Campbell, but not quite. And then they mentioned, because he's like the master of horror, so to speak, would be, how can I forget that fast? Well, it was easy, because my, is Robert Englund. So, and yeah, I kind of would think that, yeah, I personally just wouldn't want to see the film made again. Anyway, on the line of John Carpenter's Halloween, if you really like that, it's going to return to the big theaters once again on October 29th. Unfortunately, I've just been milking everything out of my personal and vacation time, taking days off just to go see these damn movies. Because, yes, it's going to be on a Thursday night, if I remember correctly. I can look that one up now because it is October, so I can look on the calendar. Actually, yes, it's a Thursday, so I don't want to take off another weekday to go to another concert or a movie during the week. But for those folks who can and really want to see, because I saw that originally in the movie theaters back when it first came out, you can once again see on the 29th in almost, well, it says select theaters, but I think everyone's going to at least show it because it's a one-time deal. From Fandom Events at 7:30, you can see once again the original Halloween as it's meant to be shown on the big screen, and it is the John Carpenter / Deborah Hill one. I like saying that because Deborah Hill and John Carpenter together made the best films. People don't seem to remember that, though. Okay, got a doom and gloom story finally on my mix of stuff. This was back on September 30th, it said. Body of Colorado teenager since 2008 found inside cabin chimney. Woodland Park, CO. Is that Colorado again? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's in the title. See how stupid I am? Hero of the stupid. Woodland Park, Colorado. The Teller County Coroner's Office has identified the remains found inside an abandoned cabin chimney as 18-year-old Joshua Maddox, who disappeared in 2008. The remains were found last month by workers who were demolishing the cabin that has stood empty for almost 10 years. It took a month, but dental records were used to positively identify the body. During the press conference announced the identification, the coroner said there was no sign of foul play, that's what I was assuming, or trauma to the body, and that it seems as Maddox voluntarily climbed inside the chimney, probably to gain access to the inside of the cabin. And it says Maddox ran into serious trouble once he found that the chimney was equipped with a wood-burning stove that prevented him from getting inside the cabin. So basically, the poor guy got himself stuck in the chimney, and then he died from this dehydration, which can take 3 to 4 days. So, that is a real shame. Actually, the poor guy, it's kind of dumb in some ways, because obviously he probably tried to get in there, maybe it was even abandoned at that time, and he was just trying to look for a place just to hang out, who knows, and he got stuck in a chimney. It says, I can imagine a handful of nightmare ways to die, and standing inside a chimney for 4 days until dying of dehydration is definitely not one of them. The owner of the cabin said the brother lived in the home for 4 years before he was turned into a rental. It was turned into a rental and then went vacant at least 10 years ago. He said a family member would periodically go out to the cabin and run off animals in each time they noticed a rancid smell. That would have been a little bit of a giveaway there, I would assume. Family members said Maddox went missing shortly after his 18th birthday. He liked to travel, so they individually thought that he went off to make it on his own. But then they knew something was wrong when days without any contact with Maddox turned into years. We thought maybe he's just traveling, but we thought he should be back by now. So this was 2008? That's like 7 years, isn't it? Said the sister, Ruth Maddox. At least now we have some closure and can give him a proper burial that he deserves. That honestly, that is a real shame. This kid got himself stuck on his 18th birthday in a chimney at a cabin. I don't know why I even put this up. Okay, I think I do. This was on dreadcentral.com. It's not a horrific story, but if you like horror movies, there's a list of horror movies now coming out on DVD and Blu-ray releases, more so probably like a first for Blu-ray for some of these movies on September 29th of 2015. And the list is Three's a Shroud. Never heard of it. The next one's The Bigfoot Diaries. That was a 2015, believe it or not. Next one's Bleeding Lady, 2011. Never heard of that. Next one is Bloody Indulgent, 2015. Never heard of that. Chillers 2, 2015. Never heard of that. Now here's one. Christine, 1983. It's going to be released on Blu-ray. So that's really cool. Creepers, 2015. Never heard of that. Deadly Revisions, 2015. Nope. Don't know anything about that movie. Death's Door, 2015. Again, these are, if I want to have to, at this point, just tell you the films I do recognize, because there's a list of them. Dracula, The Lord of the Damned, 2015. Haunted North America, 2015. These are all 2015 so far. Japanese Horror Stories, 2015. Killing Brooks, 2012. Last Girl, 2015. Lyle, 2015. Monster Madness, the counterculture to blockbusters, 2015. Prometheus, and it's not the movie Prometheus. It's maybe it's something else. It looks like Prometheus, but it's 2014. It's some horror movie, to say the least. A Plague So Pleasant, 2015. Poltergeist, which I rented, coming out. Queen Crab, 2015. That's a shocker, because it's like, looks like one of those horror movies from the 50s, unless it is. Because this is 2015, though. It's a big, huge crab. Rebound, 2014. Savage Weekend, 1981. So, okay, the other one was 2015 then. Scarred, 2015. Scream Machine, 2015. Throwback, 2013. When Animals Dream, 2015. Zombie Boys, 2015. Grimm, Season 4. I don't need to speak about that one. Zombie Season 1. I think I've already seen that. I'm not sure. There's just too many, like on the TV part, there is way too many TV shows to watch already. And I've like actually bought a few of them on iTunes, because it's just easy. I got a little iTV thing for $50 I bought. Oh, here's a story. I think my friend Todd sent it to me, or I found it actually, from a story he had sent from Unilad. Teacher eaten alive by massive great white shark while fishing. I just find it hard to imagine. This is yesterday's date. A teacher was allegedly eaten alive by a massive shark off the coast of Australia in Quest Herd. Sam Kellett, 28, was with mates spearing fish at York Peninsula coastline in South Australia in February last year when he was killed, the Mirror reports. Now, this guy got eaten alive by a great white. That is just hard to imagine. You see that in the movies, but just picturing that is even hard to think of. Witnesses told the inquest that they saw a huge 5-meter great white shark jump out of the water before thrashing about wildly. His friend said that they didn't see the attack itself, but that there was a huge pool of blood where Mr. Kellett had been. So it was a little bit more, but can you just imagine that? This shark jumped out of the water and ate this guy? I mean, and they say, well, sharks only, great whites only attack if they are, provoked, I guess. But this shark was not provoked. He just got hungry. And he wanted a mamwich. I'm sorry, that was really bad of me. I just had to take it. I had to take the plunge. Hey, that was another bad one. Whoa. Anyway, hey, this looks pretty interesting. I think it's a new movie coming out. I think it's Grindhouse movie She Kills trailer. It's on YouTube. I'm looking at this trailer. Sadistic exploitation Grindhouse revenge movie, and that was trailer 2. So yeah, it's just funny. They're trying to go for that. It looks really cheesy. But I mean, more cheesy. It's not like cheesy from the 70s. This is just cheesy as, okay, we're going to do something new that's cheesy and make it look like it's old. But I don't know. I'm trying to see if I can find any information on this, because the only thing you're going to find is it's taking me to Facebook. So there's no official site for this movie. She Kills movie. So I don't know you can watch the trailer on Facebook and on YouTube. It looks pretty funny. It is actually really funny. I just assume that this is something coming out, or is this just like one of these deals like Quentin Tarantino when he did that Grindhouse movie? Is it just a bunch of movie fake trailers? I thought it was for like a movie that's actually coming out. I don't know. But yeah, check it out. It's funny, to say the least. Apparently this woman and they make jokes about her vagina, having making the inappropriate comments in the trailer. So it's funny. Now talking about funny, this is on Decider.com, and it says HBO's newest show had actors sign a genital, basically your private parts to private parts, touching consent forms. Because they're going to be making I actually have HBO. Yes, finally something I can watch, because we have that. My parents buy it. Westworld. There was an old TV show from 1973 called Westworld, the upcoming HBO series based on the 1973 sci-fi western starring Yul Brynner and written and directed by Jurassic Park scribe Michael Crichton, is slated to be the cable network's newest dazzling series in the style of the current hit Game of Thrones. So apparently Game of Thrones is really like sexy and stuff, and Westworld is going to be probably, since of who's involved in it, be the same way. So they had to file basically a signed consensual agreement, no genitals on genitals. So I'm not even kidding. That's on Decider.com. No joke. Unlike Game of Thrones, it boasts an all-star cast that includes Anthony Hopkins, Ed Harris, who is also in Birdman, and he was totally nude on there, Evan Rachel Wood, James Morrison, Tidy Newton, and Jeffrey Wright. But like Game of Thrones, it is apparently going to be super sexy. So one thing, unlike Game of Thrones, it boasts an all cast. Okay, so Game of Thrones apparently has a lot of unknowns. Westworld's going to have a lot of people that are well-known, really well-known actors, but it basically made them sign, it says apparently going to be super sexy, as the deadline approaches. Basically, background actors had to sign consent forms for graphic sex scenes. So I guess, yes, since they have a lot of big celebrities on there, the people who are less unknown especially had to sign this thing, no genitals on genitals. And it's no joke. It was yesterday. Yeah, this was an interesting story I found, I think, or no, my friend Todd found it. I'm sorry, Todd, you found it. InsiderNews.com, this was like 2 days ago, I believe. Yeah. 14-year-old son, 29th of September, charged with murdering pregnant mother at their home. And apparently, the story goes, the kid has no reason why, no good reason why he killed his mother. He just basically killed his mother. And witnesses and character witnesses said they don't know why. Because the kid was, it came from having a lot of problems because it was just basically the parents weren't together. But other than that, the kid was a good kid. That's what it said. A 14-year-old boy was charged with killing a pregnant mother. The mother was pregnant, if I haven't mentioned that. Investigators believe the teen acted alone when he murdered his 33-year-old mom at her Texas home, said Lay Marquette Police Chief Kurt Jackson. A neighbor said she was 4 months pregnant. Maybe it was just like a jealousy thing, I hate to say it, maybe it was like matricide. Maybe the boy was jealous of the mother being pregnant, for the fact that, it was just him and the mom. He was getting all the attention, and that would be taken away if she had another offspring. So my assumption is that could have been the problem. Her body was found on Saturday. Her son was found in Houston the following day, along with a car from the family's home. He was charged with juvenile count of murder, cops said. There is no identification that there was anybody involved in this, said Jackson, according to the Associated Press. Police haven't released a possible motive. Details on the mom's death haven't been made public, but an autopsy was scheduled for Tuesday, Jackson said. But it basically says there was no, they don't know why the kid did it otherwise. He was a 14-year-old kid. Again, maybe it was just like one of those, I hate to say it, maybe it was like an Oedipus complex on the kid. Meaning, again, or think of Norman Bates, because that's the whole premise with Psycho. Obviously, the child probably felt threatened by his mother having, that he would have a younger sibling. He didn't want that attention probably taken away from him. That would be my guess. So that's what I found interesting about that story, by the way. Unilad, I think this is a story where I found these other ones, but the other story that I just read about the 14-year-old killing his mother was from Todd, and this one is too. Unilad, horrific story of step-siblings lovers who murdered their parents. So these were a step-brother and a step-sister who were sexually involved, and they got... Now, this wasn't in this country, by the way. This was actually in South America, I think, somewhere. It says Argentina. And it says, and the bullet point was, a stepbrother and sister who are reportedly in a relationship have admitted to murdering their parents before feeding the parents' dismembered bodies to their dogs. So, this lovely brother-sister couple apparently were trying to, according to this report, said they were trying to protect their younger sibling. And this is what caused, you would think probably the relationship between the two would also be part of the problem. Reports say that the pair killed both of the parents due to the abuse of their 11-year-old twin brother and sister. So it's kind of a weird story because I thought it was just one, but it's saying a twin brother and sister. The two half brother and sister killed their parents. But they said this was involved because of a situation with their twin brothers and sisters. So maybe was there 4 in the pair? 2 are involved that were in a sexual relationship. And this is never mind. Maybe I'm getting this wrong. Yeah, because the 2 couple, brother-sister, was 25 and 22. But then they said abuse of their 11-year-old twin brother and sister. So, yes, there must have been 4 children. 2 were stepkids, but then there was 2 twins involved between the stepmom and the stepdad. It says, according to Klein, the girl shot her sleeping father and then his mother in the head as she walked through the door later in the day. They then reportedly dismembered the corpses and burned the parts of their bodies that weren't fed to their dogs, to the pets, the dogs. Again, I'm trying to avoid the names because Acosta, I think, was the girl's name. I'm going to give it a shot. So forgive me because I'm going to mess these up. Leonardo Costa, 25, and Karen Klein. I could get that. Leonardo Costa, 25, and Karen Klein, 22, from Argentina, allegedly shot and killed their mother and father for abusing their younger siblings. However, the sickening details of the crime only came to light when Leonardo confessed to eating part of his stepfather's corpse. Isn't that cannibalism then, too? Police originally made the shocking discovery when they found part of their mother's pelvic bone in a bucket at their house in a pillar, Buenos Aires. Reports say that the pair killed both Acosta's mother. Now, these I really can't mention the names, except one. The mother's name I'm not going to be able to pronounce, but the father's name was Ricardo Klein, father of Karen, due to the abuse of their 11-year-old twin brother and sister. According to Klein, Acosta shot her sleeping father once again and then his mother in the head as she walked through the door later in the day. They reportedly dismembered the corpses and burned the parts of their bodies that were not fed to the dogs. Okay, so I got all that correct, I think. According to the defense lawyer, Monica Acosta feels no remorse for what she has done and, in fact, feels a state of relief for a burden he has felt from childhood. So, according to the defense lawyers, Monica Chevron, Costa feels no remorse. So I got those names. I apologize. Kind of really confused up. Chevron said he told me that he ate a bit of the corpse. For him, it was almost a pleasure. The investigation is still ongoing. And this was in South America again. Makes you almost not want to have kids. At least if you do have them, try not to get a separated or divorced, because you might end up with this. Here's another one from Unilad, and this one is another one of these sex scandals with, well, it's not a scandal, it actually happened. But these stories just seem to, like, always are, they're always surfacing over and over again. Teaching assistant had sex with a schoolboy over 50 times, Unilad. That was on the 29th of September. A Manchester schoolboy says he had been left scared for his life after teaching assistant had sex with him for over 50 times and told the boy that she was pregnant now. The 15-year-old, who cannot be named, had unprotected sex with the teaching assistant Caroline Birdman, who was spared jail recently after admitting to 2 counts of sexual activity with the child. Well, it was more than that. It was 50 times. So you can read that story. It's pretty interesting in some ways because this woman, I always have to question these stories because it's a full-grown woman having sex with a 15-year-old, and she seemed to be obsessed with the boy. Now, these stories wouldn't even see the light of day if, I hate to say this and sound like a broken record, but if the shoe was on the other foot, and it was a male having a grown man having sex with a 15-year-old, the guy would actually be castrated, mutilated, definitely murdered if he ever made it to jail. And that would be within the jail cell. But a woman, they get a slap on the wrist. And I know I sound like a broken record, but you know what? It's got to be some point that something is done about this. And people don't keep on patting women on the back for doing such misdemeanors and basically killing the men for doing this. Because no matter how you put it and how much you think it's a notch in that kid's belt, it is still a double standard. And that's the only way you can put it. So I just want to make that very clear. I could be all my stories. I think that actually is. So, yeah, I'm just really actually regret that I missed, my day of podcast, podcast day because my hard drive died on, thank God I had 4. I'm down to 2. I did order another one to replace the one that died. But because of, the hard drive died, that put me behind. I was watching some movies too. Anyway, by the way, this is definitely worth watching. It's pretty long. Adam Green did put up something else, and it says Scary Sleepover Episode 1 with Kane Hodder. I love Kane Hodder. That was like 3 days ago. It was posted on Adam Green's website. Very funny because Adam Green has a sleepover with Kane Hodder. I forgot how long it is. It's 16 minutes long. And with the sleepover, he says, Kane Hodder, which movie do you want to watch? You want to watch Hatchet with you in there, or do you want to watch Friday the 13th, Part 7 with you in there? And he said, well, I really want to watch Friday the 13th, Part 7, because that's the first one I'm in, because I watched a little bit of it so far. So he says, are you sure you don't want to watch Hatchet? Because that's my movie. I made that movie. And he said, no, I'd rather watch Friday the 13th because, that's like my first movie that really put me on the map. So he says, okay, I guess I'll put it in, for you to watch. So Adam Green goes over to the Blu-ray player or DVD player. I don't know what he has. And he breaks the fucking disc of Friday the 13th. And he says, oh, damn, don't you hate when that happens? The disc just got broken by trying to put it in the machine or something. So then he says, I guess we're going to have to watch Hatchet then. And Kane Hodder, he was gullible enough in the skit to the way he played. He was like, oh, I guess we'll have to watch Hatchet. But Adam Green just wanted to do it because that was his movie. He did that. So obviously, it was funny though. It was really funny. So that was a lighter story, and I forgot all about it until I pulled it myself. There was something else I actually wanted to mention. And you know what? I want to see these in their entirety, but here's something also I put on my Facebook page. But go to www.StarTrekContinues.com. Those are so cool looking. They take episodes and they continue those with this guy who plays Shatner. He does a really good job. He makes himself up to look pretty much like Shatner. And they redo the whole deal. They continue on the original series of Star Trek. And those are so awesome. They put a couple more up. So that's where you go. I just lost it. I've lost it a long time ago. www.StarTrekContinues.com. Check it out. It's really cool. There was one story I had posted up. Not posted up. I saw it. It was like, wait, I forgot to read this. And now I'm looking for it and I can't find it. No, it's not about the damn shark thing again either, trust me. Well, you don't have to, but I would appreciate if you did. Said something. Awesome pharmacist prescribed monster spray for scared child on iHer. Though most of us now pay dollars to get scared, whether through movies or haunted attractions, there was a time when being scared wasn't so much fun. It's pretty common for children to be convinced that monsters lurk under their beds and their closets. Sometimes we can relate to this situation. So, yeah, there's a picture, and it says spray around bedroom at night before bedtime to repeat if needed. Monster spray. I'm not even kidding. It's probably just a bottle of water, I'm sure, because that doesn't really exist. And one kid in Snook, I don't know if that's Snooky, British Columbia, recently found himself terrified of going to sleep at night, leading her dad, maybe it is Snooky. No, is it? Leading her dad to hit up a local pharmacist for a cure. As spotted over on Reddit, or is it Reddit, Reddit, the cool dad tasked the pharmacist with devising a monster spray for his daughter, Maya, and he came through heroically. The special elixir, likely nothing more than tap water, was housed inside a spray bottle, and the pharmacist printed up a label to make it look like the real deal. Titled simply Monster Spray, the prescription advised to spray it around the bedroom before bedtime at night and repeat it if needed. That is so funny. So the pharmacist actually made for this guy a thing that said Monster Spray. D. Vivian, the pharmacist tech on hand at the time, says she put additional labels, including Shake Well and may cause drowsiness, on the bottle to make it look even more official. And the father was in charge for the cure to the daughter's nightmares. Insurance coverage covers monster attacks, we presume. Sorry for messing it up, but it was just too funny. So, yeah, this guy got monster spray for his little girl that was having nightmares, and apparently it did work. So, since I wasn't on for 2 days, I had some stories I just kind of forgot about. One was, it was dated back December 7th. I found this thing. I thought it was pretty funny. Matteo Poker's video, and he's actually playing a violin to the Mario Brothers game, and he's actually playing the theme behind that 8-bit video game from back in the day, and he's keeping up with like a monitor in the background. It's really funny looking. It's speechless. He's the man. So yes, you can see it on my Facebook page. Matteo Poker, yeah. And there was an article, I won't read it, I promise I won't torture anymore tonight. Mulder and Scully's reunite in the first X-Files revival trailer on iHorror. So, yes, they are coming back again, Scully and Mulder. The fan favorite show returns for 6 episodes in January of next year. So that's pretty good. David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson are going to come back and once again do the X-Files. So if you're a big X-Files fan, I think you're like that. And I didn't read the whole thing, so I don't want to ruin it. Okay, this was funny. It was a caption I had taken off of Facebook. You know, one of these things you read, and it says, bought a penis enhancement device on eBay. And then it says, bastard sent me a magnifying glass. Well, that would be me. And then I have a poster of The Night He Returns Home in 2016 of the new Halloween coming out next year. This was funny, too. I can't remember who this girl is. I used to have a Love Jones, one of these horror queens from back in the past when she was a teenager, when I was a teenager. It says, the look on my face when someone tells me I watch too many horror movies, and she's got that look on her face of disgust. And I forget who it is. I think she was in that movie with the witches, The Craft. It's one of those actresses, a scene from there. I think it's really funny, though. Oh, yes, because I was off the other day. Doctor Who, the voice of the Daleks. It was his birthday the other day, and I wasn't there. Nicholas Briggs. Yeah, it was his birthday the other day. I'm pretty sure, and I missed it. Oh, and there was something really awesome. I love this. 10 Kleenex for Walter. 9 things from the Wonder Woman movie TV show we want to see in the movie, with Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. And they have my woman of, yes, I would forget her name, wouldn't I? Linda Carter, and she's got that outfit she wore was really kind of stupid looking, the Wonder Woman outfit, but she used to wear this, this spandex looking swimsuit, like it was a one piece, like it looked like a scuba suit, but it was really just made of spandex. And she looked like really freaking awesomely hot in that. So, and this, anyway, since I got it up, it says her blue diving suit would be number 1. Her invisible plane would be number 2. Paradise Island would be number 3. Her disguise would be number 4. Her motorcycle would be number 5. Her tiara used as a boomerang would be number 6. 7, Rover. 8, Disco. And number 9, Linda Carter, of course. So, making a cameo, I'm assuming. But yeah, they got some pictures of her, and I got the series. I got to rip that out now to look for these episodes, if I can get that far without rolling my eyes. And these really sexy outfits she wore. So, yeah. You know what? There was another story, because I've been off. Oh, and I better read this anyway. Probably sent from Todd. Heather Phillips, 40, accused of having sex with daughter's ex-boyfriend, 15. This was on the Dreamin' Demon back on the date of a couple days ago. No, it was back on the date of September 29th. Port St. Lucie, Florida. Heather Phillips, 40-year-old preschool teacher, has been charged with having sex with her daughter's 15-year-old ex-boyfriend. I mean, what is it with these stories with these women? According to the police, the teen went to his parents on September 17th and told them he had been in a sexual relationship with Phillips and she was pregnant with his baby. So that's why it came out. The parents called the police and started their investigation, and the teen told them that he met Phillips when he started dating her 12-year-old daughter earlier this year. He said that during his relationship with her daughter, Phillips would flirt with him and told him he was a hot kid and wished you were mine. I am speechless because why do I say stuff like that and see how quickly I would end in jail? So I think this has a happy end. I'm going to cut to the end. Phillips was arrested. Apparently, at least this time, she was arrested where she works at this place called La Petite Academy. It was like a preschool. Yeah, it was a preschool. And admitted that she had sex with the teen from August 15th until around September 6th. She had been charged with 2 counts of lewd and lachrymous behavior, sexual activity with a child under the age of 16 years old, and was placed in St. Lucie County Jail on $60,000 bond. Well, it's getting a little bit better. So there is no stop to these women because there's nobody to stop them in this country. Probably anywhere else, because I think that other story was England. This was a sad story. I have to throw this in the niche because this is on Bloody Disgust, or no, it's called thebloodshed.com, but it has nothing to do with horror at all. Rest in peace, Catherine Coulson, Twin Peaks log lady. So yes, the other day, see, I was not on, and the log lady passed away from Twin Peaks. Now that's depressing. She was 71 years old. She actually introduced, if you bought the box sets like I did, she introduced every episode. She was actually a character in the show, but wasn't a very big character. It happened on September 29th of, just a couple days ago. So the poor lady is no longer around, and they're going to be bringing back Twin Peaks, I think, for a short series. And here, she won't be able to do a cameo because she passed away. So that was sad. I'm kind of psyched about this. Not that I'm going to have time to watch. It was on besthorrormovies.com. There was this Canadian TV show I used to love watching called Are You Afraid of the Dark? I actually bought ripped copies of it for like $15, and most of the episodes were missing. So this would be really cool because if they bring it back to cable, I will be watching it when I can. It was a Nickelodeon show, but technically it was originally from Canada, if I remember correctly. So I did watch the ones I could find, but there was a lot of them missing. And there was one in particular, or a couple in particular, I really wanted to go see. So anyway, that will be it. Because I think the other ones, I did read already. So folks, I'm going to be signing off as soon as I can find, because I got to take a nasty pee-pee. And everyone, have a good morning on this Thursday. And I'm sorry I was off, so I'm just stepped away and stepped back up to the mic. Okay, have a good morning, everyone.